So will anger over President Obama's executive action force another shutdown? Former Chief of Staff to the Senate Republican Conference, Ron Bonjean, and radio host and Democratic strategist Richard Fowler are here for a fair and balanced debate. Richard, we'll start with you. Shutdown or not?
Well, I think there shouldn't be a shutdown. At the end of the day, I think cooler heads should prevail here, and Democrats and Republicans could come together to keep the government funded. I understand where Republicans are upset because they feel as though the president's executive action went too far, but I also understand where the president's coming from. You've seen no action from Congress on immigration reform, and so he says, I'm going to do something that's, one, going to bolster the border, two, it's going to protect families and send felons back across the border, and at the same time, it's going to do what we've been trying to do for the past 8 years, get a comprehensive immigration reform done.
You expect a shutdown, Ron?
No, I don't expect a shutdown, and that's the last thing Republicans want right now, especially the Republican leadership, is a government shutdown. That wouldn't serve them well. It didn't serve them well during when they tried to shut down the government over Obamacare. But look, Republicans are upset about the president's executive action. They think it was way out of bounds. They think it superseded the Congress, did an end run around them, and it really doesn't bode well for immigration reform during the next Congress, although I think it would serve the Republicans well to do something about it.
There is talk of separating spending into what they're calling a cromnibus spending bill, a continuing resolution to fund immigration services, and then funding the rest of the government over long term. Was that workable?
Look, the Republicans are going to meet on Tuesday to solidify this strategy. I think, the Republican leadership is going to present this to their Republican colleagues, and then they're going to figure it out. Is it doable? Yes, it's doable from Capitol Hill. Is it doable for President Obama? That's a whole other question. The last thing that we want to do is get in these high stakes over the Christmas holiday season, is get into a back and forth. But I think this is a plan that the leadership would like to pursue.
And what levers can the Democrats pull to try to affect a government shutdown and blame it on the Republicans, who always get blamed for government shutdowns?
It is very true. Republicans do get blamed for government shutdowns because they shut the government down. But beyond that point, I agree with Ron here on this. I think that nobody wants to see the government shut down, especially not around Christmas time. And so I think the lever the president has to pull is either, one, he says he's going to veto and he's going to stand firm and say, listen, there's a bipartisan immigration bill that exists right now in the United States House that even Marco Rubio voted for that you guys can get done. Let's come to the table. You guys want border security? Okay, let's talk about border security. But at the same time, let's make sure that we take those 11 million people living here in the shadows are out the shadows. And it's not instant amnesty. We can make the line as long as you guys want it to be, but let's come up with some sort of bipartisan solution. And I think either right now they have to get it done, and as we go into the next Congress, Republicans are going to be forced to they're going to have to govern. The people want them to govern. The people voted for them, so they want them to govern. And also they have to work with the president to get that done.
But Ron, the Speaker has a lot more wiggle room than he did in the last Congress since the vote, at least talking about the next term anyway. He's got a lot more members there. The right-wing faction of the Republican Party, the Tea Party wing, has a lot less power. There's more moderates this time around. He can afford to lose more Republican votes on immigration.
Well, I'll tell you what, Republicans do want to get bipartisan consensus next year. They want to pass bills right away because voters voted against gridlock. They voted against Democrats. They voted against the White House that represented gridlock in Washington. They're going to vote. They're not for President Obama vetoing a government funding bill that lands in his desk, that could land in his desk before the Christmas break. But Republicans will need to rack up these wins pretty quickly early next year to show why they're different from regular old Washington.
And what does it portend for the 2016 battle, the whole issue of immigration and how the Republicans handle it? They've got to walk a real tightrope here.
Well, yeah, they do have to walk a tightrope. For Republicans to win the 2016 election, they have to get 40% of Latinos to vote for them. That means they have to do something that works for the Latino community. 87% of Latinos in a recent Gallup poll indicated they like the president's executive action. That means the Republicans have some work to do. They have some ground to make up, whether we like it or not, whether the viewers like it or not. The Republicans have to make up some ground in the Latino community for them to win the 2016 election, which means Congress, John Boehner, Mitch McConnell have to try to make a deal. And I think there's room here. I think Keystone Pipeline and minimum wage. There's a lot of deals that can be made in this upcoming Congress if people are willing to work together. I think that's what people at home and that's what people in Washington want to see.
Right? Yeah, the challenge is when the president made his executive order, he basically did sour the environment, and that's going to make it difficult for Republicans to come to terms with things like immigration, although they need to get something done on it.
Out of time. Gentlemen, I'm flat out of time. I'd love to hear the rest of that thought. We'll have to bring it back on another occasion. Ron Bonjean and Richard Fowler, thank you so much.
Thank you, Doug.
A missing 13-year-old has been found, and you won't believe where he was found. We're going to bring you the astounding details on that. Also, a Thanksgiving story that will warm your heart. Meet the people who answered this call.
It would mean the world to me if somebody took me on. Just for that one day, couple of hours, you know.
Heartburn. Did someone say burn? Try Alka-Seltzer Relief Chews. They work just as fast and are proven to taste better than Tums Smoothie.